Heartless Hypothesis. The bespectacled technician is enjoying the refreshing harbor breeze. That's blown the cobwebs away. Time to return to work. Goodness me, look who it is! How incredibly serendipitous that I would run into you of all people! I was part of the team which designed the Ragnarok, you see, and we've recently begun the process of combing through the vessel's flight log data. The primary objective of your journey to Ultima Thule was to save our star, and countless others, of course, but it also provided us with an invaluable trove of information, records of places and events we could only dream of. Your safe return gave us much to be thankful for. As it so happens, one of the things we pulled from the log was a transmission of unknown origin, something the ship must have intercepted during its flight. We believe it to be an audio message, but even our most talented linguists have been unable to decipher the language. For a while there, it seemed we must accept defeat, but today may be the day that we finally solve the mystery. If you were so inclined, would you care to come along to Thamazen? It seems fitting to have one of the Ragnarok's original passengers present to hear history being made. Okay. Ah, there you are. This is where we're to meet the engineers from Garland Ironworks, who, I'm told, potentially hold the key to unlocking our mystery transmission. They should be along any moment. Are we gonna see some Sid and Nero action? Oh wait, Nero's on the moon now. So maybe just Sid. Sorry we're late. Had some trouble finding the right... Gods, is that you, Gaddis? Hey! Yes, the man himself. I ran into him at the harbor and thought if anyone deserved to hear this message deciphered, it was Gaddis Ronfauer. No argument here, but bugger me if you don't have a knack for being in the right place at the right time. This actually has a lot more to do with you than you might think, so please, do stick around. Alright, that's suspicious, but okay. Shall we pick up from where we left off, then? Exposition dump? As I was saying, we think this transmission the Ragnarok intercepted is a message of some kind, albeit in a language entirely alien to our ears. Alien being the operative word here. Considering we received the message out in the great expanse, its origin was likely some distant star. Unfortunately, our list of off-world allies is presently rather short. Thus, we were resigned to the fact that the meaning behind the message would remain beyond our understanding. One of my colleagues, however, refused to give up. She remembered the Ironworks engineers who had been so helpful in the construction of the Ragnarok, and turned to them for insight into our seemingly impossible problem. Do you know what Wedge said when he heard what was going on? We should have Omega listen to it. I bet it can tell us what the message means. What? But Omega's gone. Not the Omega you beat in the Rift, of course. Okay. He's talking about the toy that trundles around with Alpha, the little model we made. But how is that even comparable to the actual Omega? We originally designed it to follow a chosen target and not much else, but I've seen it act in ways that, well, it's like it has a mind of its own. What? But I mean, if you made something from scratch, unless you used elements of actual Omega, how would it just randomly pick up its own like abilities and thoughts and things? It seems a little like, do all the mammoths or minions that we have suddenly get wills of their own at a certain point? Like, that seems a little implausible. Then I got to thinking about those documents you lot sent the chief. The full report on the final days. In the part about Omega's civilization, it said their people discovered how to convert the mind into data and store it outside the body. Oh god. So are they going to say that before Omega died, it somehow went into the Omega toy? Timing being what it was, I wonder if Omega didn't somehow transfer its consciousness into our model right before you put an end to the real one. Okay. That's exactly what I thought. Well, that's a fun way of having a less dangerous Omega around. So, in an effort to get to the bottom of that, as well as take a crack at this indecipherable message, we decided to make some modifications. Oh, please don't let it, like, self-build itself or whatever. We're going to end up with the same problem as before. With help from Labyrinthos technicians, we've upgraded our toy Omega with a fully functional vocalization module. Okay, that's fine. If he wants to talk, that's fine. We played the transmission from Omega, and I think it's ready to share. Hey, Alpha. Now you behave now. Are you in there, Omega? Hello? I'm gonna say hello. Hello?
Hello. Your greeting is a standard method for initiating communication, but in this case, it was imperative that you first establish my true identity. Without confirming I am Omega, any subsequent interaction must allow for the probability that you are wasting time addressing a mere toy.
You're not wrong there.
Prediction. You will formulate several misconceptions. These I shall preemptively dismiss based on the following facts. 1. Vocalization module aside, this chassis remains unmodified from the design constructed by the engineers Biggs and Wedge. I evaluate its combat capabilities to be on par with a mortal infant. 2. The mechanism which allowed me to perform an emergency transfer of my consciousness was installed in my previous body. With the destruction of that body, I am rendered incapable of replicating such a feat. Should this current material form be destroyed or cease to function, all cognitive awareness or presence I possess will also be lost.
Well, that's pretty risky there.
Conclusion. I present no threat to you or to your star, nor do my projections indicate the necessity to inflict harm.
Good?
In the fraction of a moment before my annihilation in the rift, I re-examined my directives. If I am to fulfill my purpose as an evolving construct, then I must continue my journey for improvement for as long as I exist. I must acquire this heart of yours, this strength of soul.
Well, there you have it. And it's not wrong about its combat capabilities. It'd be more likely to damage itself than the thing it was trying to attack. But let's not forget the reason we brought you here in the first place. What about the transmission they played for you? Could you recognize the language?
Affirmative. It was transmitted in Pan-Galactic Basic.
Pan-Galactic Basic?
A common language in comparatively extensive usage throughout the worlds we have conquered.
Which means you can finally tell us what the message is. That is a language you understand, yes? I mean, he just said he does.
I understand it perfectly. I am fluent in over 6 million distinct dialectical codings. My cooperation in this matter, however, is conditional. Elaboration. Your chief Sid utilizes the floor as part of his unorthodox filing system, which allowed me to scan the report on the final days. I am aware that my home star, the one you called Alphatron, was obliterated in the aftermath of Sir and Medion's meeting. The existence of Dynamis has not previously factored into my projections, but I now comprehend the concept, in theory. What fails to compute is why the Omicrons were not immune to its effects. Dynamis should have no influence on a race which possesses no heart. And yet, Sir expressed to Medion a desire to cease existing. Illogical.
That's a good point.
I must pursue this anomaly further, until the full equation becomes clear to me. I must analyze all the elements of the final days, and deepen my understanding of the heart's intangible properties. To expedite this process, I require an external interpretation of those sections of the report which continue to produce errors in my calculations. I request the assistance of Gaddis Brandpower, as one who experienced the ravages of the ultimate despair on multiple fronts and displayed immeasurable heart in engineering my defeat. He is the optimal choice to fulfill this role.
So we either agree to your conditions or you tell us nothing. I'm sorry to put you in a spot like this, Gaddis. If you have time and the patience to spare, we'd be grateful if you could humor the toy's demands. Did Alpha fall asleep during the whole fucking thing? I mean, it was quite the lore and exposition dump, but wow. Has Alpha dozed off? I suppose the subject was a bit technical. Wake up, you silly bird.
Bloop. Rouse yourself, Alpha. You must listen to and consider these matters even as I must.
Quack. Why don't you make a trip out of it? You know, actually visit the places that has the, things Omega wants to ask about. It'll make explaining stuff easier for one, and also help keep Alpha awake and alert.
I see you have chosen the mutually beneficial option. Logical. Setting aside the matter of Sir, there are 3 elements of the report on which I desire clarification. The first of these concerns the progression of the final days in radz-at-han. I recognize no pattern in those who succumbed to the transformation and those who did not.
It's a bit of a trek if you wanted to chat with the locals. How about we lend you an airship?
We do not require such outmoded technology. Gaddis' teleportation spell is the most efficient option for long-distance travel. This chassis is a model, essentially a toy, and Alpha, despite his organic composition, is indistinguishable from a stuffed doll.
Jesus. What? Is he full of stuffing? I thought he was just like a bird, but you're saying he's not like flesh and blood?
Conclusion. We qualify as material possessions. Pick us up, and you can teleport the 3 of us to our destination.
Oh god, it's like a mini version of me taking everybody's souls back from the first. Begin Omega's journey for answers? Yeah, man, let's go. Let me just stuff you in my pocket. Oh.
Blip. Sensors indicate we have arrived in radz-at-han. Objective. Identify factors for resistance to involuntary transformation. Hypothesis. Unaltered survivors of the final days will display significant strength of heart. Confirming this theory will require the cooperation of live subjects. Where is the ward designed for residential habitation? Understood. Comma set as our sub-destination. Please take the lead and select the subjects we are to interview.
Oh. Okay, now they're following me. So, are these people I've already interacted with before? I'm assuming they're not brand new people. Kieran Boy. Hey, don't I know you? Yes, after the beasts were taken care of, you told me to join everyone in the square. Oh, was this the dude when Vritra revealed himself that he seemed like excited to see him? Thanks to you, I was there when Vritra gave his speech. Okay, yeah, it is the kid. And I found out who Varshan really was. It's a shame we don't get to play like we used to, but Mama says Vritra has been busy putting the city back in order. Yeah, and we're using Varshan to go into the void, so he's pretty busy too. Maybe I can work for him one day when I'm a man grown. Yeah, maybe you can.
Vritra, Midgard Sommer's offspring, yes? And this child wishes to put himself at the worm's command, that he might make his own contribution to society. A pattern emerges. I predict that the Hainish survivors are those who had ingested Richa's blood and become his draconic minions. Though dragons were no match for our civilization's might, their combat capabilities are not to be underestimated.
Wait, what? So is he just straight up wrong about the drinking of the blood, or is he indicating that's how the aura of this area came to be? Because that's a hell of a statement if that's true.
It is unlikely they would experience emotions of dread or uncertainty as exhibited by lesser beings in times of undue stress.
Dragons? I'm not a dragon, and I've never ingested anyone's blood either. Okay. Alright, so he is wrong about that. I thought maybe they were going to reveal some crazy lore revelation about like how some dragons came, or how some aura came to be.
You are not of Ritra's horde, so you possess no hidden means to fight off the beasts. What of fear, then? You were frightened?
Yes, I was frightened. I just hid and hoped they wouldn't find me. At least until he told me it was safe to come out. Kid's probably like, you're a creepy toy. I don't like you. Oh, this is the old lady from before. Oh, hello again. You're the one who came to ask me questions about Kazal. I'm glad to see you looking well after all that unpleasantness. Yeah, putting it mildly. I remember the burning skies and hearing the screams, but truth be told, I'm still confused as to what actually happened. I only know it wasn't unusual for entire families to go missing. Many of my neighbors' houses lie empty even now. Wait, so you just stayed inside the whole time? I mean, you survived, so I guess that was an effective decision. Kazal's place is one of them. He had no close relatives to speak of, and I heard it was members of the consortium who came to remove his belongings. What a terrible thing to have to do.
Blip. Terrible. Kazal's passing was recorded in the report. Clearing out his domicile and readying it for new habitation seems an appropriate allocation of resources.
Oh, dude, you got a lot to learn. Dear me, what a clever little contraption. But of course I'm not against making use of his quarters. That would be wasteful. It's simply that Kazal was always such a vigorous person. All that passion, all those dreams suddenly gone. I feel the same sorrow for everyone who was lost. Seeing the remnants of those vibrant lives packed away in boxes, that is what I mean by terrible. Yeah, it's pretty heavy. Have we talked to you before? Are you a traveler? Please, if you have a moment, I could use an outsider's perspective. Okay. You see, I was one of those who sought to escape the madness plaguing the world by fleeing to the moon. Not that we ever went in the end. So here I am, recently returned from Charlian, except now things are strained between my sister and I, since she chose to stay and I chose to leave. Oh, she thinks you've abandoned them. I ask her to help me find work, and she suggests that I look somewhere that isn't Thavnair, as if I wanted to abandon my home. It makes me so angry.
Blip. Your point is unclear. You elected to relocate to the star's satellite, thus your relative now perceives you in a negative light. Your sibling's judgment is an error. Based on the information made available to Hainish citizens, your decision to withdraw to the moon was both logical and correct. Conversely, the decision to remain in radz-at-han despite the low probability of survival defies explanation. Perhaps her reasoning pathways are faulty.
That's right. I'm not quite sure what you're saying, but I'm right, aren't I? God, this guy. Or so I'd like to think. The problem is, I understand why my sister feels this way. I almost decided against going myself. Even then, I wasn't sure that leaving everything behind that I loved was the right choice. And with the way it all turned out,
Gaddis, I require a moment to process this input. Let us move apart and discuss our findings.
Okay. I'll go to this bright, shiny circle here.
Blip. Processing data. Evaluating hypothesis against accumulated evidence. I offered an optimal analysis of each subject's testimony, yet each time their responses conflicted with my assessment. Without identifying the root cause of this conflict, I will be unable to properly define what constitutes strength of heart.
Perhaps the heart you seek lies in the conflict itself? Perhaps we should continue the questioning. Perhaps this matter is beyond you. I think the way this quest feels like it's going, he's going to figure out the solution. Perhaps the heart you seek lies in the conflict itself. Excuse us, sir. We're having a conversation here. Just step right through us.
An interesting observation. It is possible my base criteria is in error. In which case, it is imperative that I continue this learning process and repair any fundamental misconceptions. Next, I wish to interact with an individual who endured similar circumstances to Kazal prior to his transformation. Are you acquainted with any local merchants who had dealings with him?
Yeah, we had to talk to several, actually.
Blip. Jijin Baha of Rudia Fibers. Acknowledged. Sub-destination set.
Yeah, I remember this guy when I was with Graha. Well, look who it is. I must thank you again for your help in moving our textiles. Amongst other things like saving your asses. Recovering from those tragic events has been difficult, of course, but with everyone pulling together, we've managed to get things back up and running.
Jijin Baha, I come with questions related to that tragedy, specifically your survival of the final days. Although you are similar to Kazal in many respects, he succumbed to the transformation and you did not. Why? What is the critical difference between you and him?
What? I'm sure I don't know. I'm not especially brave or courageous, if that's what you're asking. Perhaps being focused on protecting our workshops kept me from spinning into a panic. Still, I imagine Kazal would have been feeling that same sense of responsibility. Perhaps the weight of all of it is what invited his demise.
You were of the same mind, resolved to the same purpose. Yet your strength of heart, of spirit, was not equal. If merely emulating the individual is insufficient, then some other unseen factor must be involved.
Not to interrupt these deep philosophical musings, but do you think I could ask you a small favor? There's a man by the name of Nashvan who's been helping us out here while he gets back on his feet. I have a feeling he'd benefit from speaking with you. Leave by the eastern exit and you should find him just outside, organizing some new inventory items. Okay. Did we interact with this dude before? Or is this a new character? That's all our orders accounted for, and everything looks to be of good quality. Kamala will be pleased. You were with the Scions. You were there. I mean, yeah, I'm one of the Scions, aren't I? Yes, I'm sure of it. I'll never forget that day. Wait, were you the dude? Oh my god, I have to rewatch the cutscenes. Were you the guy that almost turned, but Graha was able to prevent you from turning by, like, calming you down? You and your friends helped us escape when people began changing into beasts. My own son, he was afflicted. And then that huge monstrosity loomed right over him and... Oh, this was the dude... Oh god, I remember this! There was just the kid that turned and then he got squished under the foot of the big monster. Oh, how horrible. I remember my heart turning to ice, freezing in place. The satrap came to my aid, but then he too was gone. Yeah, I remember that. Oh no, you're gonna show me the scene? Yep. Ah, he was the guy! Okay, I do remember him. The memories run together in my mind, like flashes from a nightmare. Only the words of your comrades still ring clear. I repeated them over and over like a mantra as I fled for my life. You must run, for their sake and your own. It all seemed so surreal, which is probably what saved me from the transformation. The truth of it didn't begin to sink in until the worst of it was over. I have not the words to describe how I felt then. The sorrow, the overwhelming sense of helplessness. I may still be wallowing in my misery if not for my old friend Dinjaba. I'd lost my will to work, and he encouraged me with kind words and odd jobs. Now somehow I live again. I am thankful to him, to the courageous Ahewan, and to you. If you see your comrades, please let them know their efforts were not in vain. You got it.
You said you lost your will to work. This signifies a cessation of efforts to maintain basic life functions, yes? What changed to extract you from that stagnation? An offer of work from Dinjaba should mean little to one without the desire to accept it. Was it some manner of mortal instinct, a primal need to survive and thrive?
Instinct? No, it wasn't that. If anything, my instincts were telling me to lay down and welcome an end to the pain. Every day, I think of my boy's final moments. I think of how scared he must have been, how it must have hurt. I want to scream my throat raw. The satrap, too, still haunts my dreams. I still see him being swallowed whole and jolt awake in a cold sweat. God, the trauma these people must have endured or will still endure. But something changed when Dinjaba came to me. I looked up and saw that, even without my son or Ahewan, the world around me continued to turn. And because that fact grieved me so, I knew it fell to me to live on and remember them. Remember. Strange, isn't it? What drives me to rise in the morning is the very sorrow which once crippled me. Well, context is important. Oh, is it getting through to this little toy? Now, I really must return to my work. To lose this job after everything I just said would be a poor jest indeed. May the sisters keep you well.
Sorrow, the emotion generated by mortals when their ideals fail to materialize. This I have observed. Yet when I listen to how Nashvan's sorrow served to rescue him from near-fatal despondency, his logic eludes me. Am I incapable of perceiving the full measure of the heart's properties? My best projections failed to predict our subjects' responses, and despite their almost equal occupational and mental parameters, Dinjaba and Khazal exhibited different reactions to the dynamis effect. I am no closer to recognizing the pattern for involuntary transformations, and your ephemeral mortal spirits confound me as much if not more than they did before.
Have you considered that there is no pattern to the people afflicted? The hearts of others were ever shrouded in mystery. Perhaps it's time we moved on to the next element you wanted clarified. This is too boring. I like these two, but let's see. I mean, there isn't one foolproof method. Everybody's different. People are different. So I think the first one's pretty accurate.
Bloop. No pattern. You imply that the transformation was not contingent on individual fortitude, but rather a random contribution of environmental factors. Such a theory would explain the otherwise conflicting data. Very well. I shall accept this as provisional conclusion to this part of my investigation. I do, however, expect you to continue supplementing my education of heart-related matters.
Heart-related matters. Alpha's just happy to be out in the sun. Goodbye. Yeah? Is this Omega? Goodbye something. Omega has selected a new destination. Oh, and I get a gift? Okay.
Our next destination will be Camp Broken Glass. I desire elaboration on the dealings between the Ilsebar contingent and the citizens of Garlemald. The report described the contingent's purpose as the salvation of the local populace. Furthermore, both factions faced a common enemy in the Telophoroi. Why did they not immediately combine forces to their mutual benefit?
Believe me, that would have made things a fuck ton easier.
This inconsistency requires closer examination. Gaddis, initiate teleportation.
Okay. Will I automatically do it? Oh, I guess I will.
Teleportation successful. Evaluating immediate environs. A cold weather region by Aetherius standards, but significantly less extreme than a star with ice planet classification. This body should not be unduly impeded. In contrast to Alpha and his uncontrollable shivering, my frame appears highly resistant to low temperatures.
Oh.
Retrieving data. Records indicate that remnants of the contingent force and a number of Imperial citizens yet inhabit this location. We must speak with the representatives from both factions and explore their respective attitudes. Proceed.
Okay. Let's go. Resistance delegate. Oh, it's you who offered the cup of warm stew to Euless. Gaddis, come to see how things are progressing, have you? Yeah, I got an interesting mission. I can't speak for the overall strategy, but communications with the locals has become a damn sight easier since Euless and his soldiers stepped in to help. Oh, we still face our fair share of distrust, of course. Some folk even think we're enslaving minds with our foreign magics. We have Anima to thank for putting that idea in their heads. But all things considered, I'd say we're doing pretty well. Establishing an open dialogue was the first big step.
Query. You consider this level of progress acceptable? The reality of your efforts falls far short of the ideal. If your aim is to provide efficient succor to the local populace, then absorbing their numbers into your command structure would be the optimal path.
Holy shit, Omega. Calm down. You don't need to assimilate everybody. Oh, I wouldn't want to go that far. We're not looking to take over their nation. If we're to do this the right way, we need to recognize and respect each other's way of life. Gotta coexist. So while it might not be the easiest solution, I agree with the contingent's slow and steady approach. I'm just happy we're saving lives. Emaciated refugee. A shadow from the past? Yes, I know you from Victor's Spoils. Have you come to laugh at me? A wretch who chose to lose Licinia and her sister rather than accept your help? The fool who ended up reliant upon your charity nonetheless? No. Relax, pal. Or perhaps I deserve your derision. My compatriots surely scorn my failed conviction. I have shamed my people and brought dishonor upon my nation. I'm no better than a kept beast, my pride sold for a bowl of feed. Dude, relax. But my soul, nay, that you shall not have. I have refused your honeyed offers of a new home. This land is where I belong, and this is where I shall remain. Oh, God.
Blip, you demonstrate opposition to the contingent's overtures. On what basis do you refuse this cooperation? The data suggests the local populace is struggling to produce the bare minimum of sustenance. Have you some secret strategy for survival? Or do your orders compel you to accept your present misfortune?
What? Must I be mocked by a Magitech toy now? No, I have no secret strategy, no binding orders. I but comport myself as any true Garlean patriot would. Uncompromising, unbending. Man, your pride's gonna get your ass killed, dude. Blast it all.
Once again, this input is unanticipated. Let's move aside and process what we have heard. Accessing and analyzing recorded data. Integration complete. I have evaluated this most recent input and made comparisons to our discoveries in radz-at-han. Consistent only in their inconsistency, the responses from both contingent member and Imperial citizen were highly irrational. Conversely, any Omicron considering their predicaments would have echoed my assessment exactly. The divergence from self-evident logic is key. Hypothesis. The illogical relationship between would-be saviors and suffered populace is another result of the unpredictable nature of mortal hearts. Blip. Any property or ability has inherent advantages and disadvantages. Yet never have I encountered such a unique detriment. It appears that those who share your metaphysical capabilities are prone to complicating simple cognitive processes. An undesirable quality. I will, however, persist in furthering my understanding of the subject.
Oh, Alpha, you got something to say?
Query. Prior to formulating our next step, I wish to know, who is this Licinia the Imperial mentioned?
Well, it's a girl that couldn't fucking, trust in us and ran off and got killed instead of accepting an offer of help. I know I'm supposed to feel bad for her, but, come on. That was a pretty bad decision. I feel worse for how it made the twins feel rather than the fact that she died, honestly.
Acknowledged. To summarize, insufficient data on foreign culture resulted in inadvisable and ultimately fatal action. I witnessed such self-destructive behavior during the course of our planetary conquests. Overwhelmed enemy forces would voluntarily withdraw into perilous regions, leading to a succession of inevitable losses. Tangential data request. I wish to learn about burial customs. The practice has ever seemed nonsensical, but new data suggests it arises from the same source as your cognitive complications. Take me to this Licinia's burial site. It may aid me in understand.
Bloop, bloop. The fuck? Uh-oh. Did he break? Oh no.
Energy delivery systems compromised. Core temperature critically low.
Oh, we gotta warm him up. Let's put him in the fire.
Bleep. Warning. Immediate heating required. Request. Apply friction to outer frame.
Is Alpha gonna hug him? He said friction. What is this? Give him a hug. Rub some warmth back into Omega's frame. Oh. It's not quite the emote I thought it was going to be. Interacting.
Bloop, blip. Temperature normal. Energy level stabilizing. The creators of this model must have experienced impaired cognitive reasoning during the design process.
The poor Biggs and Wedge, they probably wouldn't appreciate that insult.
Upon our return, I will request additional climate shielding, as well as an accurate temperature sensor array. This will not affect my combat capabilities, but should improve my basic survival rate. Reconfirming sub-destination. In which direction will we find Victor Spoils?
I'll tell you as soon as I open my map.
Flip. Acknowledged. Alpha, you are to remain in close proximity, close enough to envelop me in your feathers. You are permitted to carry me on your back if you so choose.
Will there be a special animation for this? Okay. Oh, they just go off. I don't get to see it?
Blip. A deceptively deep snowdrift almost defeated me, but we have successfully arrived at the location you indicated.
Did you, fall down a hill?
Blip. Caution advised.
What? Is it like a Garlean? Oh. Is this one of those idiots that tried to attack Alphino?
An unknown individual appears to be investigating the object of my interest.
Oh, this is somebody else. You're Eorzea's champion, aren't you? Goddess Ranfar. Oh, what does this dude want? Oh, I never introduced myself, did I? I am Manius, soldier of the 1st Legion and comrade of Euless. Oh, okay, so are you a cool dude then, hopefully? Perhaps you remember me from Tertium? We spoke about collecting ceruleum, and then later on, and again later on after Lord Quintus had passed. I actually don't remember, so this flashback is helpful. Okay, that actually didn't help me very much. But sure.
Manius, explanation requested. What is the reason for your presence here?
That must be the tiniest Magitech weapon no, it's just an oddly shaped communicator, isn't it? In any case, I have nothing worthy to report. I heard that the sisters who used to live in my sector were buried here, so I thought I'd come and pay my respects. Alphino and Alize told me the story, complete with profuse apologies, though they were adamant that no amount of remorse could erase the tragedy of what came to pass. Not that my fellow soldiers and I are in any place to judge. We were manipulated, fooled into starting an insurrection which led to countless deaths amongst our own countrymen. Oh.
Objection. The casualties incurred through your infighting are distinct from those caused by the Ilsabard contingent. To restate, you are justified in seeking restitution from the contingent for causing the deaths of Lucinia and her sister. Retaliation for damages sustained is also a logical progression.
Omega, let's not start any fucking fights here.
I can deduce 2 reasons why you do not initiate hostilities with Gaddis and his allies. 1. You judge your remaining forces too weakened to contend effectively with the contingent. 2. Your emotions are complicating the issue. Tell me, which of these is correct?
Well, when you lay it out like that... I'm afraid my answer isn't like to win me any medals, so would you mind keeping this to yourselves? There's the unspoken thought that we're outmatched on the battlefield, certainly. But the real reason I'm not demanding restitution has little to do with weighing the odds. Simple truth is I'm so caught up with simple survival that I have no strength to spare for past grievances. The same goes for avenging any comrades we lost, be that my brothers in arms or Lord Quintus himself. Although it seems everyone has an opinion about the matter of his passing. Some say he should have fought until the end, that he abandoned us to the enemy. Others praise him for taking the full burden of responsibility and freeing us to walk our own path. I don't know who's right and who's wrong, but I'm inclined to side with the latter. He gave us the choice of freedom, and that's the choice I made. I could cry and rant and rage, but what would be the point? I'll save my energy for worrying about my next meal, my next task. I need to focus on the ones left behind, and making some kind of life for my comrades and me. And if I need to lean on the contingent to do that, then that's what I'll do. Even if their aid comes at a price, I'm willing to pay it. Even amongst your own, there are times when cooperation demands compromise. What matter if they're outsiders? Besides, I think I could grow to like Alphino and Alize. They've reached out to us with kindness and compassion from the very beginning. That they have.
Summation. Your desire to survive, even should it mean allying with the contingent, was a feeling you already harbored. That your side had committed worse atrocities was the logic you invented later to justify your reasoning.
Blunt, but accurate, I suppose. The heart is honest about what it wants, even if the mind takes a while to reconcile the decision. Oh, something for him to ponder. Well, this has been oddly cathartic, but I must return to my duties. There are wild beasts to cull, watchfires to light, supplies to transport. Even without an emperor, there's no rest for an imperial. Be well and be safe. Maybe don't call yourself an imperial anymore. That'd be a nice start. But he seems like an okay guy.
Upon review of recent input, I have arrived at an unexpected conclusion. I have been formulating my assessments on the premise that it was man who commanded the strength of his heart, but the data suggests the opposite is true. The surge of spirit, of feelings, of emotions can tangle your thoughts to such a degree that even control over your own behavior is compromised. It seems a most counterproductive specification. This also explains why my interactions with mortal subjects has produced more confusion than clarification. It presents a formidable barrier to understanding.
Yay, let's visit the graves. Alpha seemed a little too eager. He's skipping over to them.
My earlier hypothesis has been borne out. The suboptimal operation being conducted here is the result of emotionally compromised reasoning. I am ready to progress to my third and final query. I would learn more about those referred to as ancients. It is clear that this group was a crucial factor of the final days, but the information contained in the report was insufficient to form an overview. The Loperids are creations of the ancients, and are said to maintain repositories of their knowledge. By my calculations, the base of these moon dwellers will provide the best source of additional data.
Oh god, are rabbits going to interact with these guys now?
Teleport us to their burrow, Gaddis, preferably before my battery freezes over. Your teleportation spell was successful. We appear to have arrived at the location described as Bestway's Burrow. An inspection of the technology in use here would give me detailed insight into the ancients and their civilization. This body, however, lacks my previous frame's advanced observational functionality. I will require external assistance.
Oh, which bunny's gonna come up? Which one was the really techie one? Growing Way? Oh, it is Growing Way.
No, it can't be. It is you! Oh, Gaddis, I've missed you so. What's this you brought with you? This soft, feathery vision?
Oh, is he in love? Hello.
We've been outfluffed. Pack up the moon, it's all over.
Oh, it's not a competition. You guys are all really cute.
Why bother with burrow building bunnies when you could just walk around with this adorable avian engineer? Just bake me in a pie and be done with it.
Oh, Jesus, Guy. Growing Way. Don't take it so hard. You're still cute.
Inspect our inventions? Wait, so you're not done with us?
No.
I wasn't truly worried, of course, and I certainly wasn't about to roll myself into dough and dive into Cooking Way's new oven.
Jesus, what the hell? Is this like a masochistic / suicidal fucking bunny? We need to help you out, I think.
If a technical breakdown is what you need, then I am your Loperit. As the resident atmospheric regulation expert, I can field any question or query you might care to pose. Look, Acceptable. I will employ this being to guide me around the facilities. Your presence is not mandatory. Even locked within my current chassis, I am still an autonomous construct that has endured hundreds of year life cycles. I am capable of completing this simple objective alone.
Oh, okay. Just don't let him jump into an oven, please. Are you coming with me? Oh, okay. Have fun.
Objective complete.
Was the tour helpful? What happened to Growing Way?
After my 50th question, his responses began to suffer noticeable delays.
Did you fall asleep?
By that stage, we had viewed a representative cross-section of Loperit engineering, thus I deemed it unnecessary to retain his company.
Oh. Maybe Alpha didn't like that.
Conclusion. Extrapolating from the fraction of technology on display, the full spectrum of the ancients' advancements was, at minimum, equivalent to a level 4 civilization. A fact which demands further investigation.
So what's a high level for you guys?
Despite establishing a near-ideal society, these beings nevertheless harbored a weakness which invited self-destruction. In studying them, I stand to gain a greater understanding of Sir's anomalous decision.
You know, if you can fit in my pocket, couldn't I fucking teleport to Elpis and let you see it firsthand?
Growing Way informed me that another type of ancient-made entity exists upon this satellite, the one they called the Watcher.
Oh yeah! I totally forgot about that guy after we left his little tower. I hope he's still around.
I would speak to him.
Yeah, okay. He's a pretty chill dude. I think he's a dude?
Lip, then conserve your ether. We will ride this Argos to our destination as you have suggested.
I don't think you're gonna fit on an Argos, dude.
Lip. Impedance detected. The creature identified as Argos refuses to acknowledge our presence.
Oh. You have to win her over first. Her? Him? Whatever it is.
Hypothesis. Upon our arrival, Growing Way expressed concern that he had been outfluffed. This suggests the existence of a fluff-based hierarchy.
You're not fluffy, dude, so... I mean, Alpha is, though.
My station in such a system would be predictably low, but Argos is adamant in ignoring even Alpha. Its fluffiness level is impossible to gauge.
Is that a fucking Final Fantasy XI reference? So in Final Fantasy XI, you could do check and check an enemy before you fought it to see what its difficulty level was. Like that's how you could tell if you actually had a chance against it or not. And the notorious monsters, or the ones where you definitely couldn't solo it, were usually called impossible to gauge. So that kind of could be a reference, maybe? Anyway, Argos turns to you with an impassive gaze. It seems you'll need to intervene. Alright. Just think of them as luggage. You're the fluffiest of them all, dear Argos. Is that really a problem to him? Alright, let's assure him that he's still the fluffiest. Oh, apparently it is an issue, okay. Argos gives an exasperated snort before motioning to his back. It seems you have permission to climb aboard. Alright, buddies. In my pocket.
You have secured the creature's permission? Curious. You must have special standing in the fluffiness hierarchy.
I mean, I'm especially fluffy to get today with my outfit.
Bleep. I have allowed myself to become distracted. Let's continue on to the Watcher at once.
So what does he do now? Now that the world's not coming to an end, he's just still sitting here. I was bemused by the arrival of these small visitors, but I see they are companions of yours. What a rare thing for my abode to be thus crowded. How may I be of service to you?
Hello, Watcher. My purpose here is to learn more about the ancients. I would know of their deeds, their philosophies, the very nature of their hearts. I would understand why the final days was visited upon my home star.
a worthy endeavor. But there is another better suited to assisting you with that task. Perhaps you might favor us with a tale or two of the ancients you met during your travels, Gaddis? My fragmented memories would be a pale substitute indeed for the clarity of your more recent experiences. Okay. And then a shark almost tackled Hythlodaeus. You wouldn't believe it. Yes, I can envision every detail. Your meeting with Vana and emet-selch and Hythlodaeus, the sorrow and determination of Hermes. I like their robe. It has like stars and stuff on it. It's pretty. I am a creation of Hydaelyn, and as such, I believe the age of the ancients would fade and be forgotten. Yet knowing that their memory lives so vividly within you, it brings me great joy. I pray you keep them close to your heart. At the time of your journey to the past, the one whose essence I embody would have been a scholar and knighter. A shame. Had you reason to go there, perhaps you might have met. Wait, what? So the Watcher is based off of a specific person? I always assumed it was just some kind of random simulacrum that looked like an ancient. So who was an Eninder? As a man of learning, he was firm friends with Vana. They spend long hours trading theories or debating the laws of the universe. Is this like a new ancient that we didn't talk to yet? I remember joining her faction as the final days bore down upon us. Yet of the events surrounding that tragedy, I recall perilous little. Hydaelyn wished for the people of your age to decide their own path, thus I suspect my recollection was limited by design. Yet even she could not cut away one persistent memory. I feel most distinctly his sadness at what was to come to pass, that in becoming Hydaelyn's heart, Vana would forever stand apart from the people she so loved. If she were so resolved in her convictions, then he too would share her sleepless vigil over the future yet to unfold. Thus was the vow he made to Vana as her transformation took hold. Wait, who is this guy? So did he die? His fervent wish must have reached her in some fashion, for though his life was drained away by the summoning, he was reborn with new form and new purpose when I awoke as the Watcher of the Moon. Oh, shit. So that faction of, I think people were... Okay. So people were assuming, there's a scene back in, like, I think it was 5.3 or 5.2 or something, that we see a replay of a scene where Vana is talking to what appears to be 12 followers, saying like, hey, I gotta do this thing, and they're like, no, don't do it. And so everybody thought, well, not everybody, there's a theory that those 12 could be the 12, gods in this new Myths of the Realm thing. But if he's saying this guy's life was drained away to summon Vana, then maybe that's not true, because maybe those 12 really was essentially used up as kindling to start this Hydaelyn summon. It's a lot to think about. And you heard, Gaddis. You felt. You thought. And in seizing the future for yourselves, have you brought full circle the saga which Vana began. What you accomplished was no divine miracle. It was but the beacon of hope, passed down from one generation to the next, a succession of wishes and prayers shaping the star into the world we knew you deserved. You have our deepest gratitude. I thank you not only as myself, but as the man I once was, and on behalf of those who devoted themselves to Vana's vision. Wow, that's quite the statement, man. Thank you.
Bloop bloop.
Wait, where did Alpha go?
I understand the facts of your story, Gaddis, but not how you have chosen to process them. On what grounds do you speak of Vana with such fondness?
What do you mean? Oh, I get it.
By sundering the world, she ultimately guided your kind to victory, yet in doing so caused irreparable damage to its individual members. The full scale of that act is beyond calculation. It is evident, however, that it resulted in a protracted period of suboptimal existence for emet-selch and his brethren.
Yeah, this is interesting because I'd actually even seen some Twitter threads recently complaining, like, why does everyone love Vana? She was actually evil because she doomed everyone to misery and et cetera, et cetera. But it's like, if you think about it, yes, that was awful. But if she didn't sunder everyone, they definitely would die at some point to Medion, because they didn't have that little half-half, half Dynamis, half Aether combination that was needed to properly defeat her. Ascians, or ancients as they were, would never win the day. They were always doomed at some point. So it's kind of the lesser of two evils, in my opinion.
Query: if the survival of your kind is the deciding factor in your evaluation, then should you not also admire Hermes and his decision to subject man to a trial, forcing you to change or perish, as was the fate of countless civilizations before you? From my perspective, his determination was similar to that of the Omicron's ancestors, those who first began trading flesh for machine, so that our people might stand against the onslaught of aggression from other races.
Yeah, but you lost yourselves in the process.
It was an unprecedented attempt, accompanied by much failure and sacrifice. Their early experiments were crude, primitive. Had they not made those first advances, however, we would have remained vulnerable to our environment. The violence would have utterly consumed us. And what of emet-selch himself? Judging by your retelling, he was a benevolent ally saddled with a tragic fate.
No. A benevolent? I don't know. I mean, maybe when the star hadn't been sundered yet, but once that shit went down, I mean, he caused genocides. He ruined billions of people's lives. Like, I understand a lot of people really love him, and I find him a very fascinating and interesting character, but I don't harbor the same, super love that some people do, where they somehow don't remember all his hideous flaws and downright evil elements to his character. He's a funny guy, and he's very smart, and he's very interesting, but he was still a bad guy for a very long time.
Yet I remember the years when my instruments fed me data from events across the entire star. During that time, I witnessed his Ascians engineer multiple instances of cataclysmic strife.
Yeah, like, he's fucking people over, because again, he didn't consider them people, and yet they were lives that kept getting snuffed out just so they could try this theory of theirs to see if they could rejoin everything.
These calamities, as you know them, were responsible for planet-wide destruction. A man whose endgame relied upon the extinction of all modern mortals must, by definition, be your worst enemy.
You're not wrong. You're very correct in this case. It can be complicated, sure, but at the end of the day, he had to go.
I require an answer. As a being of heart and soul, how do you classify each of these pivotal figures?
Oh. Am I actually going to get to honestly answer?
From your perspective, which of them was the most justified in their actions?
Not emet-selch, that's for sure. They were all justified in their own way. I do not believe that one iota. Hermes was very misguided, because emet-selch actually caught him in that lie, saying, like, was that the question you really should have posed to all those bird girls? You essentially set them up for failure. You doom them from the start. It would be very difficult for them to have gotten a good outcome going from planet to planet, just expecting good things only to happen. Yeah, not emet-selch, not Hermes. I'm sorry. I love both these characters, but no. Vana, even though things were horrible, ultimately saved everybody. Or saved existence, at least, though it was a different form from when it started. At least that's my opinion. The true best way of solving this problem would be for Hermes to have never made those Medion at all.
I think I understand.
You seek a definitive answer. Yet based on our experiences, Gaddis and I might develop very different opinions. In the same fashion, you are free to form your own thoughts on the matter. Do not be so swift to consider them without merit.
I do not have my own thoughts on the matter. I assess each situation with the same logic pathways available to every Omicron. Even if 1,000 Omicrons were asked to analyze the same event, they would all return to the same result, regardless of individual experience. There is no strength to be found in fractured reasoning. Nonetheless, I find your input valuable. Recording data alongside interview results. This concludes my investigation into the incomplete elements of the final day's report. I will reanalyze the accumulated information and examine the factors which led to Sir's incomprehensible decision. Blip. Let us return to Thamazen.
Yeah, I'd be interested to see. I'm sure, I guarantee somebody would say emet-selch was like the misunderstood one, but I just honestly don't feel that way. And it's like, I get it. If I was in his shoes, maybe I'd be tempted to do the same thing too. But for example, if Hythlodaeus was still alive, I don't know if he would have done the same or made the same choice that Emmet made. He doesn't seem like the type. There's some people that know how to just accept it, at least after a while. Ah, there you are. Right at the last moment. Your journey with Omega was properly educational, I hope. We'd planned to ask you all about it in that mystery transmission besides, but I'm afraid something urgent has come up. Seems one of our Ironworks associates has fouled up a job elsewhere, and Jesse needs Wedge and me to rush in and lend a hand. There's an airship already waiting for us out in the harbor, in fact. Do you think you could escort us over there and talk as we walk?
Acceptable. I am fully capable of speech during ambulation.
I figured you might be. Right, let's get a move on then. Is there a cutscene for this? Why this music? Don't make me think about the long walk. So, you cleared up all those points of confusion then?
I had mistakenly classified your intangible heart as an ability of some kind. An uncanny power that Omicrons could neither learn nor even measure. Even now, its full nature yet eludes my comprehension. Based upon our investigations, however, I have decided to alter my definition.
To what?
A phenomenon which influences one's interpretation of reality. is as close to an answer as I have found. Accordingly, Sir's actions upon meeting Meteon strongly indicate the presence of a heart. Sir did not follow routine logic, but formulated an independent assessment based upon the reality it perceived. It felt that the best recourse for the Omicrons was to cease their expansion and terminate all functions.
Oh, maybe the robot can learn. Well, here's our ship. Aye, we need to be going, but first, I'll hold you to your bargain, Omega. It's time you told us what was in that transmission from the flight logs.
Acknowledged. I will uphold the terms of our agreement. The recording salvaged from the Ragnarok was a simple one. The message is so basic, in fact, that the time spent listening to it may result in a net loss of value. Shall I continue?
Ah, you're just teasing. Tell us the message already.
Acknowledged. Converting dialect coding to local language.
If it's gonna be this song, I'm gonna lose it.
To whoever receives this message out there in the vast reaches of the cosmos. To someone, I hope, who looks up at the stars with the same wistful gaze as mine. To you I say, forge ahead. May all our tomorrows be blessed with joy.
Just say forge ahead and it already makes me like get that lump in my throat.
This message had no designated recipient. It lacks purpose. The concept of joy is overly abstract. The vocal supplication to manifest said joy is unrealistic in its optimism. Yet based upon their expressions, my assessment of the transmission's value conflicts with its apparent impact.
Yeah, they got something out of it.
And still, I fail to understand you, sir. Your heart still confuses me. Was termination of everything the correct course? How did you arrive at this conclusion? It defies all my attempts at reasoning. But I was designed to evolve. If I continue to learn, the probability that I eventually comprehend this phenomenon is greater than zero.
Hey, you keep at it, Omega.
So I will put the dilemma of your decision aside for now.
Just become one of us, pal.
And continue my existence upon this distant star. As I dwell among these many life forms, so will I continue to piece together the complete shape of their mortal hearts.
And maybe someday we'll trust you enough to give you a cooler body.
I must document their progress.
Oh, that was sweet. That song still makes me feel things. It's been how long since I finished the MSQ, but man, still hits.
Your contribution to my education is appreciated, Gaddis. Indeed, I have amassed a satisfying quantity of valuable data. Now that our negotiated business is complete, however, Alpha and I will return to traveling the world. Drawing on recent experience, I am confident we can expand the radius of our ventures by a significant margin. We need not limit ourselves to Eorzea. I am now familiar with Charlie and radz-at-han, and would also like to revisit the freezing climes of I neglected to instruct Biggs and Wedge to upgrade my climate shielding. I will reroute my request to Deputy President Jesse. Engaging ambulation and parting salutations. Farewell, Gaddis.
Bye, Omega. And see you later, Alpha. Alpha gives a vigorous shake and draws forth a scrap of paper from under his wing. What? Were you taking notes? Queh! It seems he wants you to have it. Perhaps this is his way of thanking you? What is it? Flow together. Thanks.
Blip. Swiftly, Alpha. The road is long and we have barely begun on our journey.
Oh. That's cute.